Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, before we jump into this video, I definitely have to welcome some special people to the channel. Those of you who are new to the channel, this is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, where we're always dropping boxing-related content, whether it's fight breakdowns, documentaries, or just giving our opinion. We do it all here. So make sure you smash the subscribe button. And if you are regular patrons of the channel, make sure you smash the like or dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you are engaging. Now, Jay, this is a very interesting one. It's coming from our dear friend, Oscar De La Hoya, friend of the show. Now, Oscar is known for making some comments that I would consider very bold comments, and we're going to get into those comments in a second. But I kind of want to give a little bit of a background on this particular situation here. And this is Shakur Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis. Now, we know that Shakur Stevenson has, quote unquote, called Gervonta Davis out in the past. I know of an opportunity for Shakur Stevenson to at least make that fight happen, and he chose to move in a direction that was different than making that fight happen, which was to align himself with Eddie Hearn, Turkey Al-Sheikh, and go over there and get the bag. And I have absolutely no qualms about that whatsoever. Get your money, man. If you need to get your money, because we know that boxing is a very brutal sport, and so you need to get your weight up when you can. I have no issue with that. But of course, there's been a back and forth between fight fans in terms of who would win this fight. And, just due to circumstances that we've seen in the past over the last 2 years, a lot of people have now swayed towards anybody that's coming out of a particular fighter's camp. They are extraordinarily gifted. I mean, generational talent. I've heard that on multiple occasions. As a matter of fact, I got into an argument on Twitter about what generational talent really means. You don't have generational talent every 2 and 3 and 4 years. It doesn't work like that. But exactly. But of course, people feel that, there are certain fighters that belong to certain camps that are generational fighters, and therefore they'll smoke any fighter in any weight class, in any division. And that's, oh yeah, absolutely. Any era. So that's where we currently are. There's a belief that Shakur Stevenson has the skill set to essentially dominate Gervonta Davis. And there's other people that feel like Gervonta Davis will be too much for Shakur Stevenson. Now, you and you correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. You correct me if I'm wrong. We have been of the mindset that Shakur Stevenson is a very formidable opponent and that his skill set does pose challenges for Gervonta Davis. Right or wrong?
We've said that over and over again.
Okay. So I just wanted to make that, I wanted to put that out there. But the challenge that I think both of us have seen, and you tell me if I'm wrong about this, is the punch output relative to Shakur Stevenson and the fact that he doesn't typically punch when he's being punched at. So slipping shots, countering, things of that nature. That's been our general consensus, right?
Yep, puncher.
Yep. And I know that many people are going to say that this whole performance against William Zepeda, which a lot of people are giving him credit for, I knew the fight was going to end up the exact way that it ended up because we said it, because William Zepeda is not a puncher. And because William Zepeda is not a puncher, I just felt that Shakur Stevenson would be more willing to sit in the pocket and exchange with him. And I think you felt the same way. So wasn't necessarily as impressed as many people were in terms of his performance against Zepeda. I expected it. Is that a fair and accurate assessment?
Yeah, we saw the Tevin Farmer fight. So
yeah, so I've always thought that Shakur in a Gervonta Davis fight would not have the output to be successful because he'd be too concerned about the firepower that's coming back at him, right? And that's always been my assessment. So, and if he opens up, I think there's potential for him to get knocked out. So I've always thought the fight could go the distance, but it would go the distance because Shakur Stevenson wouldn't necessarily open up. So Oscar De La Hoya has weighed in on this. He's given his opinion. Now, I've never heard Oscar give such a blunt opinion on this, but I want to play the opinion so that people can hear it. And then, Jay, I want you to react to the opinion of Oscar De La Hoya because, I mean, it was telling. I've never heard Oscar say anything like this. So let me play this clip very quickly. This is what Oscar had to say in regards to this particular matchup.
Who wins that fight? Man, that's a good. I think they're different styles. Obviously, I think Shakur is more, fights on his back foot, fights tall, throws 1-2 punches. I think Tank Davis takes more risk. He goes forward a little more. I think he has more power. I'm gonna pick Tank to beat Shakur by brutal knockout. Yeah. Oh my.
That's Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Oscar De La Hoya does not have a dog in this fight, Jay. So what are your thoughts on those comments?
I wouldn't expect them to say about brutal knockout. It's one thing to be knocked out, TKO'd or anything like that, but brutal knockout makes you think a highlight reel knockout.
Right.
That's been one of the things with Shakur for me is the fact that he doesn't throw when you're punching as well with a power puncher. We know Tank is a power puncher, and people try to compare Tank. Well, look what he did against Cepeda. He was sitting there making a listen. Tank doesn't throw a lot of punches. He's one of the most accurate fighters in the game right now. He doesn't throw a lot, but when he throws, he's measured and he's accurate. So that's a good little back and forth with someone that's a defensive fighter like Shakur. Shakur trying to slip a little bit more, but he said he's not gonna do that again. He said after that fight was a pay, he's like, I ain't doing this no more. I got hit too much. And you're right, you got hit too much. You get hit like that with Tank, it will be brutal knockout. So I can't disagree with De La Hoya necessarily in that if that happens. But I thought he would have said it, it'd been probably decision or a late round stoppage, not a brutal knockout. That takes to another level to me. Like he destroyed Shakur and put him out there, kind of like B Norm did Jin Sasaki. That's what I'm thinking about, brutal knockout.
Yeah, I don't think Shakur opens up enough to do that. And I think Shakur, because of the size and the range, I think he can potentially give Tank some problems. Now, I think what makes Tank problematic for Shakur is the fact that, speed with the ability to slip shots and then throw hard counters. I think that could potentially make Shakur a lot less likely to open up. And I get what people see what Lamont Roach was able to do, and a lot of people have, they're now downplaying Gervonta Davis's ability. But I've always said that it's twofold, right? So number one, Lamont Roach fights a completely different style, very compact, stay in the pocket, covers up. That's not Shakur. Shakur try to fight a little bit more outside, uses reflexes and things of that nature. So it's interesting. We'll see what ends up happening. I don't see a highlight reel knockout because I just think Shakur is an elite fighter and he'll prevent that from happening. But I think it's an interesting fight. You guys let us know what you think in the comment section in regards to this particular fight. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast and Sports Media, and we are out.